Hello, everyone. Please join in. Hello, hi. My name is Emmanuel Kempany. I'm Chief Commercial Officer at AstroStellar, and today I will be your host for this very special webinar with the theme that is AI and Gen AI for the enterprise with Pega. We will have like three special guests from Pegasystems, which are going to join us very soon. But before I will let you with these introductions of what AstroStellar, Pegasystems, and 10K coders, 10,000 coders, are doing and are all about. Let's go.
What is Pega? No, it's not that. Or this. Impressive teamwork, though. Still no. And definitely not whatever this is. Pega's a powerful low-code platform for AI-powered decisioning and workflow automation. So you spend less time doing this. And this. And more time getting work done, like the folks at the most demanding organizations who use Pega every day. But not exactly these folks, because this is stock footage. With Pega, you hyper-personalize each and every piece of customer engagement. You streamline customer service experiences, so customers and agents are both happy. To put it plainly, we help you get more done by doing less. That way, your operations team is worthy of a dramatic slow-mo. You can acquire and onboard new customers and partners faster, and you can quickly respond to problems and exceptions before they happen. Not this problem, this one. The best part, you can do it all on a collaborative low-code platform, meaning you don't have to be these guys to adapt to change at light speed. Are you ready to connect people, process, and tech across your enterprise and feel as confident as the folks still walking in slow-mo? Well, it's never been simpler. Get ready to crush your business complexity. No, not like that. Like this.
Codeurs est une association qui a pour objectif d'acculturer en sensibilisant la jeunesse au numérique, de l'orienter et de l'insérer dans les métiers du numérique. Donc la jeunesse africaine, la jeunesse française, la jeunesse des différents pays, qui est une jeunesse qui est invisible, qui a envie d'être visible, qui veut faire partie de la marche du monde, qui a envie de se développer dans un domaine dans lequel, effectivement, il y a pas mal d'opportunités. 3 étapes avec 10 000 codeurs. La première, découvrir le numérique. La deuxième, apprendre un métier. Et la troisième, décrocher un emploi. Et en fait, c'est une mission que nous menons avec les grandes sœurs et les grands frères du réseau 10 000 codeurs, qui sont des professionnels expérimentés dans leur secteur d'activité, qui partagent les valeurs ainsi que la vision de 10 000 codeurs de faire de la jeunesse invisible l'industrie mondiale, le poumon de l'industrie mondiale du numérique. On veut vraiment que l'industrie mondiale du numérique soit avec ces jeunes qui aujourd'hui sont invisibles, qui aujourd'hui n'ont pas eu l'opportunité de pouvoir être acculturés au numérique, être accompagnés sur les postures, le développement personnel, les fondamentaux sur l'entrepreneuriat. Et l'idée, c'est vraiment de pouvoir les accompagner via nos expertises à obtenir le passeport numérique. Vous allez me dire, mais c'est quoi le passeport numérique? Alors, le passeport numérique, effectivement, vous pouvez l'obtenir après avoir passé un test écrit. Il faut une note de 80%, au moins de bonnes réponses. Ensuite, un test oral dans lequel on vérifie que vous avez bien été acculturé. On vérifie que vous avez les bonnes postures. On vérifie aussi votre niveau d'anglais. Et ça nous permet de pouvoir vous proposer une formation dans le métier que vous aurez choisi. Et ça, c'est très important. Il faut savoir que nous, on va vous informer sur les métiers, sur les usages, sur les technologies du numérique. Et ça va vous permettre de pouvoir choisir le métier dans lequel vous avez envie de vous orienter pour qu'on puisse ensemble passer à l'étape 2 et vous former pour que vous puissiez être insérés dans les entreprises, notamment qui nous sont partenaires, mais aussi dans celles qui font partie de l'écosystème numérique. D'ailleurs, je tiens à faire un petit coucou, un gros remerciement à Autodesk et à Pega, qui nous accompagnent pour tout ce qui est logistique de cette première étape, qu'on puisse être avec vous ce soir.
Very good. So now that you basically know everything about Pegasystems, about Astrostellars, and also about 10K coders, I will let you discover more about our guests that we are going to welcome in a few minutes. Peter, Latasha, and Sheena from Pegasystems. We will start with Peter. Peter, hi. Sheena, welcome. Latasha, welcome to the review. It's a very great honor to have you tonight for this very special webinar. How are you guys?
Yeah, all good.
Doing great. Glad to be here.
Amazing. So excited to be here and showcase this.
I'm so excited too. Thank you very much for accepting to be with us this evening. It's going to be very full of presentations and a lot of details about what is happening in Pega, especially in the fields of AI and GenAI. And without further ado, I suggest we start with Peter. Peter van der Putten, if you can introduce yourself and also your role and position at Pegasystems. Sorry.
Yeah, awesome. So I'm the director of Pega's AI lab and also the lead scientist for Pega. So and it means that I'm responsible for innovation around AI. So it's helping our clients innovate with AI, helping them to achieve their strategic objectives with AI, become more of an AI first company. But, we also like to say, well, we need to drink our own champagne. So it's also about how we can use AI ourselves to improve our product portfolio and how can we build out all kinds of new AI capabilities.
That's very good. That's amazing. Thank you very much for this summary. So how basically does it work? Are you in charge of a team or do you work solely by yourself? Tell us more about how is it day to day at Pegasystems in your position?
Yeah, I'm a bit a spider in the web type person, right? So I need to bring new innovation to our clients, but also to Pega. I'm connected to many different people. For instance, when we decided to get into generative AI, that's already kind of quite a long time ago, a half year before ChatGPT came out. So first we had discussions with upper management, up to the level of the CEO, what should we do? But then at some point we had to get practical, so roll up our sleeves, and then we started a new community around, generating ideas around how we could use generative AI, and within weeks we had 1,000 people internally on that WebEx system where people could be exchanging ideas. So I have a bit more of a spider in the web type role. I talk a lot with people inside Pega, but also I talk a lot to our clients, and I have one feed outside of Pega because I'm also 1 day a week a professor assistant professor in AI at the university in the Netherlands.
That's very amazing, very inspiring. Also, we'll have like the occasion to know more about your role and your position in your works in everything AI at Pegasystems. But before, we will introduce Latasha Kettles, if you can join us and introduce your position and what you do at Pegasystems. We've learned from Peter that he was like kind of a spider in the web kind of person. What kind of person would you say you are?
So, thank you for this opportunity. My name is Latasha Kettles, and I am a lead decisioning architect here at Pega. I've been here at Pega for 4 years. I actually started 1 week prior to COVID lockdown. So, super scary, but hey, new adventure. I've been in the industry for 20 years, all in telecoms. I work in the communications vertical. So, unlike Peter being a spider in the web, I'm probably the Black Widow. So, I'm out with the customers. Front facing, I am the face of Pega to the customers. I work with most implementation teams, usually from the start of the project till the end, and then sometimes after the fact. I am the person that guides the customer on kind of what we should do, the best way to implement it to be able to merge their existing business process, existing governance, to follow Pega best practice and actually get real value out of the Pega application. Pega can bring you so much value when implemented correctly and within best practice. And that's my platform. Sometimes it's difficult getting people to move away because, a lot of times people think, this is the way we do it. We want it to remain that way. But just like artificial intelligence, generative AI, and other types of artificial intelligence, the world is evolving and moving quickly. And, you got to get on board or you're going to get left behind, which is why I'm the Black Widow, because I'm going to kind of sneak up and eliminate those old processes. And we're going to move forward. We're going to be forward thinking. So I would say that my role really is to provide thought leadership when I'm with a client and to help them, again, explore and utilize the Pega application in the best way possible to best support their business.
That's amazing. That's very inspiring also. And we will also have the occasion to know more about your role, your different works and tasks and projects at Pegasystems. Latasha, thank you for your introduction. So we have the spider in the web, we have the Black Widow, and now we will be introduced to maybe a butterfly or I don't know what kind of species, but Sheena is here. Sheena, can you introduce yourself, your position, and as Latasha and Peter did, tell us what kind of species are you in Pegasystems?
All right. Bonjour, Sasa, to everyone that's on. My name is Sheena Murry. I am a lead business architect with Pegasystems. I've been here coming up on 9 years. And if I had to describe myself, I would probably say an octopus. In the sense that in my time here, I have right now I'm exclusively in the healthcare vertical, but I've had a wonderful experience here at Pega working across many verticals from retail to logistics, FedEx, UPS, some of the big ones, of course, healthcare, and as well as transportation, and some credit card companies as well. So I've had opportunities to just be here at Pega as they're growing, and especially with the as we're adopting AI and Blueprint, and just watching the wonderful growth here at Pega.
That's amazing. That's very great. Thank you very much, Sheena, for this introduction. So we have the spider, we have the Black Widow, and we have the octopus. The three of you have like very inspiring role positions and also journey in the Pegasystems. Before we carry on with the different presentations, I would like to see the participants with a message from a Pega executive.
Hello everyone, my name is John Higgins. I am the Chief of Client and Partner Success at Pega. It is an honor for me to be introducing this wonderful initiative and webinar series for the employee resource group Black at Pega. The Pega ERGs reflect an underlying drive to build an empowered, fair and strong community. And it's central to our Pega values, which we promote across other ERGs and the entire organisation. These values are quite simply why Pega today has held a long-term position as leaders in our field amongst some very strong global competitors. And there is no doubt that this initiative is another building block toward that overall success. This series covers AI and GenAI for the enterprise and is in partnership with 10,000 coders and a new entrant to our partnership landscape, Astra Stellar. I am proud to say that we've been doing some great things with 10,000 coders for quite some time now, and I'm looking forward to how we can guide the new entrant to our partner landscape, Astra Stellar, to the North Star with Pega. Today, you have an opportunity to witness a key interaction with some of our experts from the field, and I encourage you to ask questions, learn from this, and stay in touch with us. So take care, enjoy the webinar, bye for now.
Amazing. That is very good. That was a message from John Higgins, which is the Chief of Client and Partner Success at Pegasystems. So now that we've basically wrapped up everything surrounding our guests, but also what we do at AstroSeller for myself, what 10K Coders is doing and what Pegasystem is doing, I suggest we start going deep into all the general theme, which is surrounded around AI and Gen AI. So I have a question for Peter. Peter, you told us that in your introduction you were working and you were basically steering everything surrounding the AI projects at Pegasystems. I have a question for you. Would you consider artificial intelligence and Gen AI a revolution?
Yeah, I think it's both a revolution and evolution, because AI is not something new. Well, since there were computers, people were building AI programs. Actually, there was a workshop around 70 years ago, the Dartmouth Summer AI Workshop, where they thought like, hey, we're going to get together in 1956, and if we get 10 smart people together for 2 months, we'll solve this AI thing. And if you look at the topics they were studying back then, it was already machine learning and creativity and reasoning and tons of things that we consider part of AI today. But on the flip side, of course, like there have been many AI winters and summers. And I think the last 20 years as consumers, we've been using AI a lot without knowing it. When we were Googling or when we were looking whatever at our TikTok timeline, and we would get recommendations for movies to watch, that was AI at work. But it's not something that we were really conscious of in a way. I think the big change with generative AI, ChatGPT or Google Gemini or whatnot, that people started to use AI in a more conscious manner themselves. You can create whatever cookie recipes, or you can make a nice pictures for your presentation. So you become more of a not just like a consumer of AI, but actually a maker of AI. And think that's one of the big things that Gen AI has done, is kind of democratized access to AI.
All right. And would you say that the AI as we know it now, like, because there's like many evolution as you pointed out, would you say that these evolution are kind of something that we can expect, or is it still kind of surprising whenever we reach a new level of AI and developing AI, basically?
Yeah, like I still continue to be surprised, and I'm of course a self-declared AI geek. I've been in this space since 1989 when I started to study AI at university. But certain things you want to go quicker, but other things I'm still surprised by AI on a daily basis, and specifically with the arrival of things like generative AI. The developments are really, really quick.
Yes. And speaking of AI and generative AI, we often do, like we often consider them alike, which are not. It is not kind of the same thing. How would you say, or what can you tell us about AI and Gen AI in the whole Pega Infinity 24 project?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I think that could be a good nudge for me to maybe to jump into a little bit of a presentation, because I brought like a presentation where I can talk a little bit more about our vision towards AI, and then actually also show you lots of examples of how we're using AI at Pega. So
Very good.
yeah, so let me maybe jump into that presentation. Maybe we can share the slides on screen. I have a little magician in the background who's going to run the presentation. So let's kick it off at slide number 6 of the presentation.
Yes, absolutely.
Can we pull it up?
Yeah.
Am I sharing?
The one of well, as you can see.
Oh.
While we're pulling up the presentation,
Yeah.
what I will talk about there is a little bit like I said, what is our vision on AI? Because I think a lot of people talk about how can we find good use cases for AI, but that's more the other way around. We should look at what is the future? What could the future of a business look like? And we have a future vision that I will explain, and then see how AI can actually help fulfill that vision. And then I'll talk a little bit about all kinds of examples of how we're using AI. So let's roll the presentation. Not sure if she can.
Can you have the presentation ready already?
Hear me? So let's see. There we go. Yeah. All right. So AI is changing everything indeed. So we already discussed that a little bit in the intro. And like I said, it's not just a matter of see if we can find good enterprise use cases for AI. We also need to flip it around a little bit and say, hey, what kind of new businesses can AI actually unlock? And that new business, that idea of the new business, we call that the autonomous enterprise. Yeah. So, and the major idea is quite simple. If we can have something like autonomous self-driving cars today, why can't we have autonomous enterprises? Yeah. So, and let me dig a little bit into this autonomous car example to explain that a bit more. How does an autonomous car work? While it's driving around, it's processing all kinds of real-time data that's coming at the car, and the data could be of poor quality and indeed coming at you in real time. And it really needs to make very quick decisions. This little blob that we see on the left-hand side, is it a cyclist that we need to evade, or just some random noise? Yeah, or things could change in the environment. Suddenly a pedestrian jumps in front of you, and you need to recognize, the car needs to recognize the pedestrian and evade the pedestrian, right? Or there could be another car in front of you that quickly takes a right turn, and you need to evade that car quickly. So there's a constant loop of sense, decide, and act going on in an autonomous car. Yeah, and for that to understand like how important that is, we don't just need AI, and maybe also some other scientific fields are important, such as the field of cybernetics. You see Norbert Wiener here at MIT sitting there with his own self-driving car in 1949, like a long time ago. And cybernetics, the entire field about not just making intelligent decisions, but how can we operate in an environment that's changing all the time, and take feedback into account and actually learn from that and adapt. And that kind of plays into this idea of the autonomous enterprise, almost, a self-driving business. The same way how we could have a self-driving car, we could have a self-driving business that uses AI and automation to self-optimize towards certain goals. And that means we can use that AI and automation in different areas. We can use it when we engage with our clients to you're all maybe engaged with telco customers, banking customers, insurance customers, and making sure that we are as relevant as possible, using AI to understand what the customer wants, and really have ongoing conversations, marketing offers, or dealing with customer service issues. But on the flip side, and more internally within a company, we can also use the AI to become more efficient and effective in all the business processes that are running in the background. And we do that at a large scale. And so we do that indeed to personalize that customer engagement, to improve customer service, and also to streamline these back office operations. So here you see this combination of better personalization in customer engagement and service towards doing a better job at making processes run more smoothly, more efficient, but also making them more effective. And for that we need AI. And AI is a little bit a multi-legged type of animal. To stay in the animal metaphor, it's not just artificial intelligence. It's maybe also actionable intelligence, augmented intelligence, accepted intelligence, always-on intelligence, and ultimately autonomous intelligence, because it's used to unlock the autonomous enterprise. And just to pick out one of those definitions here is AI's accepted intelligence. It is really important that we apply AI in an ethical manner as well, and making sure that the AI is transparent. Do we understand what the AI is doing, right? Or is it acting in the best interest of both customers and companies? Is it empathetic? Is it ultimately also unbiased? Can we remove unwanted bias from these AI-driven decisions? And that's of course something that's really, really important. So to give you an example, one capability that we have is called the ethical bias check. So let's say if you're making all these smart decisions like an autonomous car, but now more in a company, you want to test out and make sure that they're not unfairly balanced towards certain genders or age groups or ethnicity. And it's really important to do those simulations and making sure that your AI is as unbiased as possible towards those specific protected groups.
Absolutely.
If there's any interesting questions on the in the online channels, just chime in. I can maybe pull out one of those questions and I can answer them. Or if you have a question yourself, just jump in. If not, I'll just continue with the presentation. How about what kind of AI do we actually have that can help with this? And for this, kind of a bit of a metaphor can help, because there's so many different AI techniques that it's hard to see the forest from the trees. And one way to think about it is to think about right brain AI and left brain AI. So what do I mean with that, right? So generative AI is this creative AI, AI where we can create text, images, but also entire applications, anything. So it's a creative form of AI. So you could say it's a bit like right brain AI. But we also have left brain AI. It's the AI that we use to make optimal decisions. What is the best thing to do in a particular circumstance? How do we make rational, optimal decisions? So it's good to understand that both of these branches of AI exist. But what I will do in the final part of my presentation now is to walk through some examples of right brain AI, that generative AI, and then my colleagues are going to talk more about decisioning, these kind of left brain types of AI. But indeed, let's jump into right brain AI. How does generative AI actually work? One of the most common examples, of course, are these kind of large language models like ChatGPT. Here I asked it, like, can you write a rap song about how large language models work? And you can see it creates the rap song. So it's pretty amazing, actually. And how does that work? Basically, it's a two-step training process, how these models are built. And you show them lots, they have been trained on pretty much the entire internet, lots of text. But the companies that build these models, like OpenAI and Google, they black out certain pieces of the text. and then the model needs to learn, hey, what letters are missing in this sentence, right? And that sounds like a simple task. It's simple for humans, but it's something that's really complex for computers. And by giving them that task, they also learn other things like irony or sarcasm or syntax and semantics. You get that for free. And the other thing that we do that they do then on top is to give it certain tasks just to fine tune it a bit more towards the types of answers that we want to hear. And those type of models, they're the so-called foundation models that we then can actually leverage to build all kinds of enterprise AI use cases. So McKinsey did a study, analyst firm, and said well, if you only look at a handful of use cases and a handful of functions, they will drive 75% of the profit and the benefit of generative AI. And it's exactly those use cases that we focus on at Pega: service, marketing, but also development and design of new applications or customer operations. And it's important to deal then also with some of the risks around AI, hallucination or bias and fairness, transparency. How can we address that? Because that's really important in an enterprise context. I brought a whole bunch of examples here of different types of use cases that we built. Actually, last year in Pega 2023, we already launched this GenAI architecture, and we started to build out. We're a low-code platform, so we don't need to program in our platform to build out new capabilities. And we were able to very quickly build out capabilities to drive application development, but to also do a better job of one-to-one marketing, for instance, generating all kinds of offer text and treatment text with generative AI, or in customer service to summarize conversations that maybe agents in the call center are having with the customer, or to provide responses that they could use in that interaction, and also supporting these back office operations workers. So I brought some quick examples here. For instance, here you see an example of a marketing use case where a marketeer actually created a new advertisement. So you give it some instructions like, this is what the advertisement should be about. And then it will actually generate this kind of advertisement text and even the image on the fly. So that's a marketing example. But to look at a customer service example, here we have a customer, sending an email to customer service like, I don't know, I lost my phone, or I lost my credit card, or whatever it is. What do I need to do? And you can see on the right-hand side that we actually recommend how to reply to this customer email. So we provide guidance to the agent and to best deal with that particular situation. And similar examples we have maybe in back office operations. You see a case worker here, so someone who's dealing with a particular process. In this case, it's looking at whether particular transactions or particular banking account might be fraudulent, and they need to investigate that case. Again, we can use generative AI here to kind of summarize the entire situation and detect, in this case, whether there's chances of fraud, and create a summary report. Maybe we need to send it to the regulator, things like that. So these were all kinds of things that we already released in Pega Infinity 2023. And now, I want to talk a little bit about the future. So what are we releasing this year already? And I'll do that across three themes: designing more, developing more, and doing more. So from a designing more perspective, the idea here is, how can we accelerate the ideation of new applications? Let's say you want to build a new application for a particular purpose. And of course, typically what people would do, you would gather a lot of maybe people from the business who have that problem, and get developers into a room and say, oh, let's brainstorm from scratch what we need to build. But it's a very difficult and painful process because you have to start from scratch. What if you get new ideas about what that application could look like really in minutes? So, and for that we have this capability which is called Pega GenAI Blueprint. You see a little demo video here on the right-hand side. Basically, you just type in, you give some base information about what the particular application is that you want to build. And then it will actually build a starting point for that application on the fly. Yeah, so it's really, in that sense, an ideation engine. When we go through it, you will see that it will say, oh, what different elements do we have in this particular application? I think it's a government benefits type, when you apply for some benefit from the government, if I remember correctly. And you can see, oh, there's 10 different elements that this application needs to support. But let's delve deeper into one of those elements. Yeah, so we can actually look at, what kind of process would we recommend to sit behind this particular capability. So you will see that it will actually build that process on the fly for you. Yeah, so what are the major stages? What are the major steps that we need to go through when dealing with this particular request? So you see this nice flow diagram where it actually has generated this process on the fly. Whoa, magic. Yeah. But also all the other elements of the application, they will be built by this Pega Blueprint capability. You can make some changes if you want to change things that you want to have slightly different, but it will also build out, the entire data model, suggested data model, magic indeed, and it will suggest what kind of personas could be interacting with this application, an entire starting point for an application. Yeah, this is not meant to say, oh, this is the final application, but it makes the discussion so much easier. Yeah, so rather than having to start from scratch, you can generate something and then you can say, hey, what are the things that we would like to do different? Based on the best practice experience of Pega and also all the information that we get from the intelligence that's baked into the GenAI model. Okay, but let's move on. We can ideate quicker. We'll skip this slide. But also, we want to make sure then, if we get lots of new ideas, we need developers to actually build those applications out in a bit more detail to fully functioning applications. Yeah, so we also need to be able to develop more. Yeah, and the point is, of course, that demand for developer skills is ever growing. What if we could use the power of generative AI to double develop productivity? And so that's another area, and you can imagine that there's all kinds of places in a low-code application platform like Pega, where we can not just build out the entire application like we saw in the blueprint, but we can actually make smaller changes. We can say, what are the possible values for a particular input, or generate me some test data. Yeah, so all kinds of little developer tasks that we can actually accelerate by using the power of generative AI. And to make it easier, and we actually also have an autopilot, and that is the one-stop shop. Yeah, so if I want to achieve a particular task, I just say what I want to do, and it will read all the documentation, and magic, it will give me the answer, what the things are that I need to do, in the application. But it can also go further than that. It can actually take me to the specific part in the application where I could be making those changes. This is only our first step into the water, our first toe into the water, because we're going to automate this a lot further, where we can get the system with our approval to actually take all the steps. And when we say I have a task, it gives me an answer how to do that. It can actually do it. It can actually do it for me. Yeah, so really, really cool. And then the final part is more about doing more. Let's say I'm not a designer or developer of applications. I'm more like an end user. So I'm that person who's taking customer service calls, or I am that person who's needs to decide whether someone can get a loan or what to do with an insurance claim. How can we help those people? Yeah, and then of course we all know that internally in companies, getting work done is something complex and difficult. It's a tough job that these people have, and getting work done is complex. Yeah, but what if we could actually make a bit of an AI assistant that tries to behave like your best employee? Yeah, it's almost like an intern sitting next to you, but we really the combination of that AI intern together with that person who's doing the work. Together, they will perform at the same level as your very best employee. Your very best employee, of course, what do they need to do? In every instance, they need to know, like, I have whatever, a claim, insurance claim coming in, or customer service issue. They know what to do next, in a particular circumstance. But they can also adapt. If it's really busy, they can, do finish processes faster. And when there's more time, they can take more time to deal with the issue. Or if certain rules and processes change, they know on the fly what to do. So we need to build that intelligence into the generative AI. And for that, we built a capability that we call a GenAI coach. And it's really coaching the end user through resolving the insurance claim or the service issue or whatever that person need to do. And GenAI coach is almost like a front to the other capabilities, GenAI-driven capabilities that we have into the system. So, and I'll talk a little bit about those other capabilities in a moment. But again, coach is the one-stop shop that will help us to resolve a particular issue. And so here I'm a salesperson, for example, and I'm trying to sell something to a particular company. I have lots of information, all the past interactions, and I have a question: what do I need to do next? So GenAI coach will analyze all the information that we have in this particular case, this particular sales opportunity, and it will give me tangible next steps that I can take to hopefully close a deal with this particular client. So coaching me towards success. And we can configure that in the system. This is a sneak preview of what we're building for the next half of the year, where you can see, like, we at a very high level, we can describe, what is the data that this coach has available, but also what kind of tools can this GenAI coach actually use itself to get new information, or even in future we'll have it take particular actions. So, and we only need to describe at a high level how the coach needs to behave, and then it will all just work. So magic to some degree. And then maybe the final thing, and then I'm wrapping up. We have some other capabilities in here as well that are GenAI driven. That's this idea of the knowledge buddy. So let's say I am a customer and I lost my phone or my bank card. Then normally I would go to the website of that company. I would have to do a search. What do I need to do? And I get tons of search hits. I'm still confused. So by using GenAI, but using a clever combination of GenAI and search, we can really come up with an optimal solution. Because when we have a question and we have a particular knowledge buddy for a particular purpose, that buddy has access to all the documents, in this case, all the sales service documents of the bank or the telco. But just depends on whatever the purposes of the buddy. It will have a stack of documents it can search through. We have a question, it first searches all those documents and then looks at the search hits, and then use GenAI to really provide me a succinct answer to my question. So it's also better than just ChatGPT, because ChatGPT would be trained on the entire internet. So it would give me the answer from bank X, Y, or Z, whereas I want to have the answer from my particular bank. So that kind of sums it up a little bit. Just a sneak preview of examples, how we're using right brain AI to solve customer problems, and what have we released so far, and what are we going to release in future. My colleagues now, they can talk a little bit more about the left brain. What kind of left brain capabilities, for instance, to make smart decisions in processes, or to make to understand unstructured data like speech. How can we use those left brain capabilities as well? And of course, like in humans, you get the best results if you put the left brain and the right brain together.
Absolutely. And thank you very much, Peter, for this presentation. Just a very quick question before we move on to Latasha, who is going to introduce us with this specific left brain part of AI that you're talking about. We talked about I would say all of AI and GenAI can do, but what would you say are the main limitations of it?
Yeah, great point. Well, there's some, because that's a big difference between, let's say, enterprise use of AI versus just using generative AI as a consumer. It's actually the same raw technology that sits underneath, but in enterprises, people are really concerned about, oh, is the Gen AI hallucinating? Is it making something up? Is the information accurate? But also, what's up with confidential information? If we're sharing information with a Gen AI model of service, we don't want to share confidential client information or other proprietary information, IP, for example. And so those are some of those top concerns when I had this slide from McKinsey that are on top of mind for people who work in companies and want to use generative AI. And how we solve for that is, for example, when you look at the knowledge buddy, we when you ask it the question, it's not going off, just based on the Gen AI model that's trained on the entire internet. We ground it in a set of knowledge, in a set of documents, like, hey, this customer has a question about self-service. Look through the self-service documents of our bank, of our company, and only provide an answer based on that information. So that's an example where we're reducing hallucination. But the other example that I gave was more around how to deal with sensitive data. So by having this Gen AI architecture, an enterprise architecture, where we kind of decouple from, are you using an OpenAI model or a Google model or an AWS model? You can centrally govern what kind of models are being called, but also we can make sure that none of the data that we send there is being retained. So minimize actually exposure of data. But we can even do more. For instance, one of the features that we have is that we say, well, let's first use another AI to filter out all the privacy sensitive data from a prompt before we send it to Gen AI. And when we get the answer returned, we'll magically reinsert that customer privacy sensitive data. So this way you can reduce the amount of sensitive data that's actually leaving and is being sent over to Google and OpenAI to get a result. So and there's many other ways to deal with those risks, but for that you do need an enterprise type solution like Pega.
Amazing. Well, thank you. Thank you very much for this very clear explanation, Peter. I saw that there were questions in the channel, but we will take a few minutes at the end to answer all that. Before we proceed, I would like to let Latasha speak on AI and Gen AI. Thank you very much again, Peter, for processes. Latasha, are you with us?
Yes, I am.
Yes, you are. Thank you, Latasha. So basically, what is process AI?
So essentially what process AI is, it's a way that you can utilize artificial intelligence to optimize business processes. So a lot of things that Peter talked about when he talked about operationalization of things, and when he talked about how we're helping the agents and employees and more back-end stuff, that's what it is. So not so much as the forward-facing things that a customer could do, but this is a way to make the business run better, more efficiently, time-saving, things like that, to automate some of those tasks that employees have to do every day that are and make them a bit easier, and things of that nature.
All good. And when we talk about process AI, is it, for example, let's say a company has their own process, right? They have their own process in their different departments. Could you say that, or could you affirm that process AI can intervene in any kind of process, in any kind of environment, any kind of company, or is there really dedicated or more suitable for a process rather than another?
So there are cases where it runs better, but what I like to always say about anything dealing with artificial intelligence is as long as there's data to support it, it's a repeatable process, and it's something that can be monitored, you can automate the process. We can make the process more efficient. I mean, if you think about it today, things that we never thought would be able to be automated today are being automated. Loading trucks, basic tasks. So it's any basic mundane task that can be done. And not only that, anything that's a repeatable process where we can see an outcome and track an outcome, you can implement process AI to optimize it.
Absolutely. All right. That sounds great. And so perhaps you have like a process AI case study or demo to show us just to illustrate
so
more.
I don't mind jumping straight into the demo if that's what we want to do. I'm all for it.
Please go ahead. No,
so I'm going to cite. So I have a demo. So what I'm going to do is a click-through demo. And for those that are aware and familiar with Pega as a platform and an application, we have different modules. So you have Customer Decision Hub, which is CDH. And that includes Prediction Studio, App Studio, and Dev Studio. Yeah. So for Process AI, as I said, one of the things that it does do is it does optimize business processes. So what I'm going to show you is the ease of creating a prediction in Prediction Studio and then embedding that prediction into the workflow. So I won't go through to show you the widget per se. That's going to be an outcome of it because we would have to use Kafka and other things, UX, to create the widget. But I will show you the back-end things that we do in Prediction Studio in order to create the prediction and embedding it into the workflow. So with that being said, let's start the demo.
Let's start.
So those that are familiar with Pega, what you see now or what you see here is Prediction Studio. If you're familiar, this is where all of our predictive and adaptive models are done. So as I said, what we're going to do is we are going to create a new prediction. Let me move this. We're going to create a new prediction. And this prediction we are going to create, we're going to we're going to create an adaptive model based off of case management so that we're going to have the ability to embed it in the workflow. So there are types of predictions that you can create, as you guys see here on the screen. One is a customer decision hub prediction. The other is a case management prediction. And then there's another that's text analytics where you use natural language processing and things like that. So we're going to use we're going to do a case management prediction.
Sure.
So here is where we create our prediction, and we are going to input our prediction name. As I said, we're going to create a prediction that is going to track the outcome of a case missing its SLA. The outcome is going to be case completion because we're going to track, is this case not going to meet its SLA? And our subject is going to be home loan. So I'm going to start the prediction wizard. So when you're creating predictive models, one of the beauties of predictive models is you don't have to have historical data. You can have historical data to kind of make it run a little smoother, but you don't have to. It's not something that's necessary or relevant. So for the ease and simplicity of this demo, I'm going to say that I don't have any historical data.
Mm-hmm.
So next on this screen is the prediction output. This is where we would usually map our outcomes. So in our workflow, if we come to a completed or resolved completed, which that's how the case resolves, we will map that to resolved. If the case ends in resolved rejected or resolved withdrawn, we would consider that a failed outcome. And then all of these are ignored because, of course, all of these are more in process of the case. And next, we're going to choose our predictors. Those familiar with adaptive and predictive models know that predictors are pretty much the heart and the soul of modeling. This is where our data resides, and this is what Prediction Studio or ADM uses to determine the likelihood and how things are going to interrelate. What's going to happen is, starting out, you want more data versus less. You want to use all the data. And what happens is ADM is going to self-optimize. So that's one of the beauties of Pega models. They self-optimize. So the data that isn't relevant, we don't need, right, it's going to map those predictors and make them inactive. As Peter talked about before he ended, he talked about being ethical in it. So some of the things we have to be careful of is that we're not using any PII, right, as predictors. So we want to make sure we're not using any sensitive information as predictors. And our prediction's almost ready to use. So we're done setting it up. Just that easy, super simple. And I'm going to click create. And here we go.
Prediction.
Yes, correct. I am finished creating our prediction. And so I'm going to save it. And now I'm going to add our prediction to our workflow. So here I'm going to pivot to App Studio. As you guys see, we're in App Studio. I'm going to add a prediction. So what I'm going to do is click here to add my prediction that we just created. We're going to add it here. So we put it under home loans, and it's our SLA outcome model. So I'm going to save this. And now I'm going to come over here to our workflow, because remember, our intent was to add the prediction that we just created to the workflow. So because we're going to see how this prediction plays into the case resolving, I want to add it to this last step right before it goes to closing. So I'm going to add this to our evaluate property, which is under underwriter review. So here, this is where we are. This is our workflow, and I want to add a new decision step in here to add our prediction. So I want to add a decision, and I'm going to add some custom conditions. So here I'm going to add my custom condition, and my conditions are, because remember, I'm going to start doing low risk. So the first thing I want to do is I want to say, is what was generated from my model. So this is what was generated from my model. My completion probability is greater than or equal to 90. So I want to say, I'm pretty sure this is going to complete. And I want to add another one to reduce the risk, to say that the loan amount is less than $200,000, because anything over that gets more risky. And I want to be sure that, I'm not being that risky. I'm going to submit it. And there we are. It is embedded in our model. And very much that simple. We're done.
It's integrated inside the model on itself.
Correct. It's integrated in the model. We just put it in the workflow, and we are done. Just that simple. We would need UI UX to create a widget and embed this in the widget, but we would do that using Kafka. But for the most part, this is it. What did it take us? 5-7 minutes at most?
Yeah,
super simple.
5 minutes. It's very simple indeed. I have a question, but I'll let you finish.
No, you're good. I'm good.
I was asking, I wanted to ask, we've been implementing this whole prediction inside the model, right? Based on all the data this the prediction will be functioning with, is it possible, as for now, in Pegasystems, for prediction to create themselves on their own, based on the different
Yes. So out of the box, if you think about Customer Decision Hub, which is one of our key platforms, when you create a channel, models are created automatically out of the box. So for some of your key models, a big one is web. So for any time you create a new channel or we integrate with a web channel, it automatically creates those models, and those models generate they generate models based off of click-through rate. So web click-through is something really big. That's something that most companies like to click. We want to know when the customer logs into a website, what they're doing. Again, out of the box, literal plug and play, you define your predictors, and you're ready to go. So that's one of the beauties of Pega. It makes it very easy. Once you know the application, the sky's the limit on it. You know what I'm saying? There's so much you can do. So it absolutely is a low code application, something that the most seasoned developer can use, but also our new students can use. So that's why I tell people that are interested in Pega, they're like, what should I focus on? Focus on the data. Because as long as you know the data you have, you're going to have the ability to apply it to different situations. And that's what the business is looking for. They want you to be able to come in and say, how can my data be used? How can my data be used to help my business? How can my data be used to provide the best value for my business? And as long as you know the data that's available, you have the ability to do that. So it's absolutely amazing.
It's very amazing, and it looks so easy to first understand, but also replicate to do. And it just, to be honest, just makes me want to try it. I'll be a hundred
Absolutely.
percent honest with you, and I like also the playfulness of it all. Basically, it looks super simple, but the amount of things we can do and produce out of this very simple task and super easy tool, I would say, is also very amazing.
Absolutely. And it's going to provide so much power in business, and value
Yeah,
to the business. If you think about it, it's old school WYSIWYG. What you see is what you get. Drag and drop, plug and play. Very, very simple.
yeah, yeah,
Yes.
absolutely. And I'm thinking of all I would say Pega newcomers who are seeing all these stuff and still believe that it will take them very long to understand, very long to adopt all of these things. And I just want to show them this particular tool, just to reassure them first, and also show them that Pega is it's a very simple and easy, I would say, application, and with very easy tools in order to make very great things.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Once you know the data, you get the basics. I've again just showed you guys within 5 minutes how we create a prediction, which is the power behind all of it. So
yeah,
that prediction you're
yeah,
creating, that's your AI. That's what's generating your letting the business know what's the propensity of the case going to not resolve in the required time. So that's the hard part, and that took us
yeah,
what, 2 minutes at best.
yeah.
It
Even less.
absolutely is simple.
Yeah. And last question before we move on. When we speak about prediction, it's mostly about things or contexts that we can, I would say, master at the very least. Let's say we are in a context where we want to create or put a prediction on something that is very, I would say, not very difficult to predict, but let's say the current state of the economy in 10 years. Is it something that is it something that could be feasible prediction wise in Pega, or there's like limitations to it?
No. So again, remember what I said, as long as you have data. Now,
Okay.
as long as you have data, we
Yeah.
would want to use some historical data to do that. And then we would have to have something where we're getting more learning. So the thing is, we want more data coming in to learn against.
Yeah.
And of course,
Yeah.
they're going to be outliers and they're going to be other things that come into it. But as long
Yeah.
as you have the data, repeatable process,
It's all good.
it's all good.
All right then. Very reassuring. Thank you, Latasha. Thank
Oh,
you very
no
much.
problem. Thank you.
That was very fulfilling, and I am going to personally seek more into this prediction tool and everything that surrounds it, because that's very interesting. And I don't really remember touching that matter in my training in Pega and working in a company that works with Pega. But I will definitely give it a look. Yeah,
It is. And if you think about it, we're more so in Infinity 23 and upcoming 24.2, as Peter stated. Some of our new tools are really harnessing the power of
yeah,
adaptive and predictive modeling. It's something that is kind of out of the box for CDH. But if you're more used to working with the case management application,
yeah,
this is
yeah.
a prime way to embed it. And again, to be able to optimize and make business the way that the business runs more efficient. So it absolutely is something that is important. And if you are keen at case management and workflow management, absolutely take a look at adaptive models to see ways that you can embed them in widgets and other things to be able to give the business the ability to predict outcomes.
I sure do. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you very much,
Thanks.
Latasha. Now, if we can have, before we move on to a more general question in which all of our participants, all of our guests, sorry, will answer, I would like to introduce again Sheena. Sheena, are you with us?
Yes, I am. I am here and ready to go.
You're ready to go. That's amazing. So, Sheena, um, concerning like what based on everything that's been said before, you have something to introduce us with, which is voice AI. Can you tell us more about voice AI?
Yeah, so voice AI is again, it's a enhancement component that typically is it is paired and layered on top of case management and mainly customer service. So for voice AI, you want to capture the speech from your caller, and you want the system to be able to read that speech and to go into the system, look into the learning models, and analyze what is it that that person is calling in for, and how can I best help this customer service rep expeditiously through this process. So what we're doing is, as if you remember from a slide that Peter showed, it said, make every employee your best employee. We
Yeah.
want to help our CSR, we want to help our customer service reps operate at their highest potential. Of course, by giving you the best customer experience, and of course, by addressing, your concerns or your reasons for calling in expeditiously.
Wow, that's and basically when speaking of a tool as voice AI, in what I would say in what part of a project or of a case is it more or is it the most used or the most I would say exploited?
So definitely for a customer service
Yeah,
engagement. So anytime, so think about when you call in, if you're calling in to check your health insurance,
yeah,
if you're calling in to even set up a repair for your car, or if you're calling in to do troubleshooting. It's typically when anyone calls in and you're talking to a customer service rep. What it helps the rep do is, so for example, when you call in, we all know when you call into a customer service center, you have to verify yourself, your
yeah,
name, your
yeah.
address, phone number, those kind of identifiers. And what it does is it generates that already for the customer service rep, so that when you're speaking to that person, and even down to, let's talk about, you're calling in to make a service appointment for your car. It's voice AI is going to automatically paired with the customer service and paired with workflow and the data that we have in the system. It's going to already tell that customer service rep why you're calling in, what vehicle they think you're calling in for, and start guiding you through how to execute those services.
All right, very good. That's very interesting. And I have a question, but I think you will answer that question also in your demo. My
Okay.
question was, how can we make sure that voice AI catches the right info, the right data?
So that happens in a couple ways. So it all goes back to our learning model. So there's two. So you have your speech model, and then you have your natural language processing model.
Yeah.
And depending on how those models are configured, that is pretty much how voice AI will work. So I can give you an example of both. So for our speech configuration, it's as simple as, you can train a model by using maybe 50 to 100 hours of actual live audio. So audio that you've recorded, you can feed it into our voice AI, and voice AI will start to dissect and pick out familiar phrases.
Yeah.
It'll start to pick out familiarities, so that when they hear these certain phrases again in another conversation, it already knows to tell their rep, okay, this person is most likely calling to resolve this issue. And so it's all about what you want to do is, you want to build as much data into AI so that it makes
Yeah.
the best to drive it towards the best decision. But you have to feed the data into AI so that so the models can learn.
Absolutely. That's absolutely the case. And I think it's also how it's implied. When speaking of AI in general, this is basically how it is nurtured, if I can say it like that, by catching different bits and pieces of data from here and there just to become more, I would say, autonomous, but also more intelligent. Like it's always something that needs to be fed. And so thank you very much. You have a case study or a demo, I would say, concerning all that.
Yeah. I do have a demo, so let me get it queued up here.
Yeah.
I'll take 2 minutes and just take 2 minutes to go through a deck really quick at a high level, then I'll jump right into the demo.
Sure.
Yeah.
And there are more and more questions in the channel. We will answer all that at the end of this webinar. Don't worry about it, dear participants. Thank you very much for your questions. We will see that right after that. Okay. So Sheena?
So just quick. All right. So just quickly wanted to go over what Voice AI is. So again, as I stated, it assists, our customer service reps during live interactions and phone calls and suggests the next best actions or actions that CSR should take by analyzing the current conversation that's actually happening. Our Voice AI has 5 key features. So script adherence, so that's helping the CSR remember the prompts that they need to ask, especially when it comes to HIPAA and private information. There needs to be, and even with some in some financial institutions, you have to repeat certain regulatory statements and things like that. So script adherence is a key feature. Autofill in specific fields. So a lot of times when callers call in, we want to reduce that manual entry for our CSR. So when you call in, we want to go ahead and populate those fields, not removing the human completely, but asking them, hey, this is what we heard in the conversation. Can you validate this? Or is what is on the screen correct? Then you have your task suggestions, which you'll see is based on the conversation. Voice AI will then tell the customer service rep what they should do next and how best to resolve the customer request. Then you have your knowledge suggestions, which is if the CSR needs to know something. So maybe somebody calls in and they're new and they're not sure how to update email addresses or update addresses. So we have the ability to ask the application, how do I do this? And then also view transcripts. That's powerful in the sense that you have an area in the application that will show you what was actually discussed and talked about. And you can also refer to that in terms of, so whereas some people are used to capturing notes and things in a more manual sense, this will, systematically store all of the key features of your conversation. Right?
Wow. That's
and just quickly, and just wanted to quickly show this diagram here. To understand how Voice AI works, so you have your agent desktop here, and so you're going to get a phone call in through CTI, which is a regular phone line. So you want to get your call in, and then Voice AI is going to start listening to that conversation, and it's going to start extracting pieces of it. While it's doing that, it's going to, within the Pega cloud, it's going to send it over to the audio router, which is going to start, then it's going to send that speech into our models that we've trained. And it's going to start training those models and saying, hey, based on what we heard, what should be the CSR's next action? And so you'll notice there's an arrow that comes all the way back around, goes into the Pega server. This is what is going to decide the next actions. And again, that's all system configured. So once the system comes up with that next action, then it's going to feed it back to that agent on that desktop. So that's the full circle of how how Voice AI is captured, processed, analyzed, and then sent back to the agent with the action.
All right.
Okay. All right. And as I stated, there's two models. So we have our text analyzer, NLP model, and our speech service model. So the speech service model is where I stated we could use some recorded audio and use that to train models, as well as our text analyzer. We could actually feed in statements that we think a person calling in would likely say. So, for example, one of my recent projects. Yes. Yep. So, for example, I used AI to generate utterances that we think a provider would call into a health insurance company and say. So I use AI to produce like over 200 statements that a provider might say. And you can use those statements, again, training models, so that when voice AI hears language very close to those phrases, then it automatically knows, why that customer is calling in and what's the next action. Okay.
Amazing.
And overall, why is voice AI important? Why do we want to use this in combination with case management and case management and customer service? And the big ones are this: we want to guide the case to completion and automate work along the way, right? So we want to make this case as seamless as possible, as easy as possible. But I want to reiterate, the intent is not to totally remove the human. The intent is to think and guide the human in the most logical way, and so that the system makes majority of the decisions, and then and from a human interaction perspective, it's very minimal. So we want to and that's making that manual data entry a thing of the past, right? We want to reduce that. We want to increase agent productivity, and all of this is completely addressing your customer experience. So saving time for the customer, more focused experience, or more timely experience. And we all know that when you save time for the customer, you have better outcomes, and that definitely impacts your bottom line when it comes to profits. All right.
Good.
So now I just want to switch over here to my demo. Okay. And am I still sharing my screen? Just want to make sure.
Yes. Okay. But it's still on the same page. How will voice AI revolutionize?
Okay. All right. Let me just switch my tabs here. Okay.
Yes, it's okay.
All right. Yeah. So, all right. So what you all are seeing is this is a Pega instance, and this is a customer service instance. And this is typically this is a dashboard of what you would see if you were a CSR. And this is not specific to any particular vertical, but this is what a general desktop would look like for a CSR. So I'm going to run through a quick demo of a person by the name of Carmelita Williams. So she's calling in. She's calling in to our company. She has an issue, so we're going to help her. We're going to help her through, and I'll just call out a couple of points to note. Okay, so we have our incoming call here. So she's been verified. We want to accept her call. All right. So you see the script adherence. So how may I help you today, Ms. Williams? Immediately it pops up. Okay.
Yeah.
Notice over here we have suggested actions already.
That's amazing. That's very amazing.
Okay, so in addition to voice AI, the system has actually checked her account and noted that her payment is overdue. So we don't really know why she's calling in, but one of the suggestions already is that we need to help her to resolve her late payment. Right?
That's magical.
Yep. So let's say we'll help her resolve her late payment. Let's say that's probably why she was calling in. Okay.
So is it possible that the suggestion, can they have more than one suggested actions?
Oh, yes, absolutely. Absolutely. So let's say when she called in, she said she wanted to do an address change, as well as maybe even upgrade her policy. You can do, you can do all of that at the same time. So for example, let's say an address change. So she'll call in and say she wanted to do an address change, and we'll just update her really quick to 123 Green Street. And, okay. Okay. We'll verify her email address is correct. We'll hit submit. Okay. All right. And then we'll say, and then we'll also go down to, okay, so we'll submit this one. And all right, so we've updated her address change. All right, now let's go and see about her payment. Okay, that might be okay. So now we see that we've addressed two issues during this interaction. So we have an address change and we have a make a payment. So she'll make her minimum balance today. We'll hit submit. Oh, we'll do a stored method, credit card that she already has, or a bank account she already has. And we'll submit this, and we'll wrap up this interaction. And I'll show you what the wrap up looks like. So we'll wrap up this interaction. Okay.
Very good.
And and you'll notice you have your interaction summary here. You have your knowledge buddy here. So knowledge articles, if I needed to know how to resolve an address change, just to speed up time. I won't go into all of these, but this is your wrap up. So you'll have all of, your interaction summary. So everything that you did here, everything that you did, you'll have all of your tasks, and as well as what stage your case is in. And we're going to submit this and we'll wrap up our call. Wow. All right. And then that in a nutshell is a very quick and to the point demo of how Voice AI works.
Wow, it looks so just as we saw earlier with predictive AI, it looks so easy to use, and so it makes work more I would say better to deal with, and more easier. But if I may, I have a question.
Sure.
There's in the training, I would say, of Voice AI, as we mentioned earlier, AI trains with the data coming in. RGPD-wise, how is it going?
What was that last question? You said...
sorry, I can't remember the term in English, but GDPR-wise, GDPR-wise, how is it functioning in terms of when you collect the data, when the AI collect the data, or the enterprise, how can we make sure that the data do not leak, or it's private, it's restricted, all that?
Great question. So a little technical for this webinar. However, there are major guardrails in the back end. That really guide, and it really guides and constrains the information that we capture within Pega to ensure that, number one, is definitely not shared out, and that with all Pega applications, we have heavy security and provisioning. So even within a call center, everyone most likely will not have access to everyone's work, right? So we have very access-based, very segmented access roles, depending on your role, within the team, within your function, that really limits and constrains what you can see. So we're very heavily on a provisional basis. We provision people to see what they need to see to do their job.
Wow, good and very reassuring, because speaking of AI and speaking of how customer interact with enterprises using AI, such as tools like Voice AI, the question of privacy and data, I would say security, has been arised a lot among clients, among customers, among also I would say countries, like whole institution, political institutions. So knowing that you internally in Pega have this very secured and restricted access to data, can only reassure first, but also guarantee that you are I would say, reliable, I would say, partner in the collecting of data for the improvement of AI. And I think that's very, very, very amazing. And it will only make it easier for clients and customers to interact with tools like this.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah. Good. Very good. Well, thank you very much, Sheena. Thank you for the
Absolutely.
presentation. It was very interesting and inspiring, and it just helps me learn more about all the different, I would say, aspects of AI, especially within Pegasystems. So now I will call the three of you, Peter, Latasha, and Sheena. Um, I will call you, and I will start by saying, first of all, thank you very much for the presentation because it was very inspiring. I really wish it was longer because I have like so many questions. I want to see so many other things, but time is running, and we have the questions of our participants. But first, I have a question for you. So you have introduced us with different facets, I would say, of AI in different, I would say, area. And basically, AI has been very popular this ever since the COVID crisis in different, I would say, fields, different, I would say, category, like everywhere. AI is very important, and it has conquered every continent, basically. Europe is speaking of AI, America, Asia, and lately, Africa. Africa is becoming a very important and very vibrant, I would say, hub for innovative technology and absolutely also for AI. And my question is to all three of you, what would you say, or how can African youth seize AI and Gen AI opportunities?
Okay, so I'll start. I don't mind.
Okay, I
don't
can
mind.
go first.
Yeah, so focus on data.
Is it on me or Latasha?
Oh,
So can you guys hear me?
yes.
Yeah. Okay. So I'll start. Focus on the data. As I said before, the data is the foundation of all AI. Generative AI, you can't have content generated without having original content. If you think about on Facebook, where they're generating photos and things like that, and they have all these AI photos, those photos aren't just created out of thin air. You have to input an original photo, which is why a photographer's job is never going to go away. An artist's job is never going to go away because AI is driven by data. So if AI is important to you, know the data, study data analytics, study the differences in data. If you think about what Sheena discussed in voice AI, we're talking about the languages, natural language processing, text analytics. Those are things where, again, it is all based off of data. So as a student, focus on data, know the data, learn the data, and that'll get you there.
So data is the keyword in your answer. Latasha, thank you very much. Peter, Sheena, if you have something to add or maybe comment on.
I would just say, from a career perspective, I would say definitely look into ways of where to use AI. So learn how to apply it across the board. Within technology, but learn how within technology, all industries are using AI. Look for opportunities of where to apply it, and also maybe look for some opportunities, where some people, where some companies may not be using AI, and you have the opportunity to introduce it. So try to enable yourself to be a trailblazer, I would say.
I think those are good points, Sheena, right? It's not just about creating the core AI itself, but the other part of AI is like, where do you want to use it, and how are you going to use the AI in particular use cases? So I think that's very important. So study data, great advice. Think about where and how you may want to apply AI. And that also means, let's say for African youth, get your feet wet, right? So start to, there's tons of, we'll provide links to courses where you can learn more about Pega AI. Tons of other courses out there as well. Ways to engage in AI competitions as well and hackathons, right? So I would really encourage you to dive hands-on into what AI is and what it isn't, and start to use it yourself through these various ways of training, Pega or otherwise, and then indeed, see if you can compete into hackathons or online competitions. There's plenty of those out there, and that's really a great way to get into it. AI may sound a bit like a noun, but it's a verb as well. It's something you need to do.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And I like the fact that you, in your answers, the three of you, you advise to not focus on AI itself, but rather on what AI will need, AI will use, AI will be fed with. And that's very important because some of the people who are watching tonight believe that AI will threaten careers, it will threaten industries, it will threaten works, jobs, and it's very important that the three of you pointed out that none of this is happening since AI actually needs all that, basically.
AI is a tool. It's a tool that you can use for good purposes, for bad purposes. So it's important to actually to get under the skin of it and start to use the tool, and then make sure that we use it for the right stuff. You'll find we also have written a manifesto about what is good use of AI. If you go to pega.ai, you'll find that manifesto and other resources as well. But then, I would definitely check out Pega Academy and look up all the trainings we have there around generative AI, process AI, voice AI, and really get your feet wet and get into it. And then, even if you're not like working in AI industry, maybe you're still studying, whatever, indeed, do take part in hackathons, online competitions. That's the best way to actually get into it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And thank you for all these resources. I think the participant will be very glad to have all this. And speaking of participants, we have a few questions. Can we have the questions displayed in order? So there's, is that the first question? I think it was, yeah. Question from Mamadou. Mamadou, hi. You told about right and left AI, like kind of AI. What about machine learning and deep learning? Can you clarify, please? I think the question was for Peter.
Yeah, that's a great question. So left brain and right brain AI. Right brain, again, to repeat, generative AI, creative AI. Left brain, making optimal decisions. So it's different use cases of using AI, but the underlying technologies that you have, like machine learning, deep learning, they're being used, let's say, by both brain hemispheres, right? So the GenAI models, like GPT by OpenAI, they're examples of machine learning, deep learning based machine learning models. But in our left side of the brain, when we do this decisioning, Latasha spoke about, for instance, this marketing use case, where we learn, what offers customers are actually interested in. Those are all all kinds of real-time learning, real-time machine learning type systems. Or our voice AI is also based on deep learning type based AI. So machine learning, deep learning is a special case of machine learning. There's other techniques for machine learning as well, but ultimately it's a technique that's being leveraged by both the left brain and the right brain at the same time.
Thank you very much, Peter. Next question, if we can have it, still in order. So Herman, hi. Herman is asking, thanks for this amazing presentation. I would like to ask, can we use the Pega model in solid waste management in low-income countries? I can't remember who the question was for, but...
Yeah, I saw it pop up. And so I'll open the floor, and then I'll give it to my colleagues. anywhere where you have complex processes that you may want to optimize, and where you need to make smart decisions in the process, like I don't know, you got all the waste coming in, and in real time you get a feed, and you need to say, well, oh, this we can just this needs to go left and that needs to go right. Those could be examples of real-time decisions that you could take. But maybe Latisha, Sheena, what do you think?
Go ahead, Sheena. Sheena, you want to go? Do you want to
Sheena,
take
can
it?
you hear us?
Oh, no, I'm sorry. What was the question?
I said, do you want to take it? Just to piggyback on what Peter said. Okay.
No, I can't. I can't hear Peter. But I can hear you, Emmanuel. So if you repeat the question, I can give the answer.
Oh, you can hear me.
No, but anyway, so waste management, absolutely. Any area where you have complex processes that need to be optimized. You can look at a macro level, use AI techniques like process mining, understand where work gets stuck, but you can also optimize individual processes as they happen. Like in waste management, it could be indeed, as trash is coming in, if you have readings of what it is, you could make smart decisions like, oh, this needs to go to the incinerator, this we can recycle, this is dangerous stuff, we need to do something different with it. So just as an example.
Very good. Latasha, maybe before we move on to the next question?
I can just piggyback on what Peter said, especially if it's camera based. Again, like Peter said, it's repeatable. But what we're going to have to do, and I'm going to go back to this, we're going to have to input the data based off of what can be sent to the incinerator, what is a recyclable, what potentially is money or something of value that can be, that could go for resale or something like that. But absolutely, it can play a part, and it can guide that. And then we can say, based off of zip code or where the collection's coming from, truck number X usually has this percentage of recyclables, or has a high propensity to have things that are all going to the incinerator, a high propensity of recyclables. So again, data is going to drive it. You can code it, but data is going to drive it.
Sure. Amazing. Thank you very much. Sheena, maybe before we perhaps move on to the next question, we're running out of time a little, but
oh no, that's okay.
Okay.
No.
Yeah.
What Peter and Latasha said was sufficient.
They said it all. Good. Do we have another question? No more question. All right, that was the only one. Well, thank you very much to the three of you. Thank you for your interventions and also for your presentations. I really wish we had more time. I really do, because it was very interesting. And the I would say, like, the word magic was appeared a lot of time during this webinar. But I think that the most magic things about Pegasystems is that you basically never finish to learn. Like, there's always something new to learn, always something new to put into, and it's very amazing because, like, it gives so much possibilities, and it makes projects basically better. And basically with tools like the one we've just seen with you, I think it will only be better for project management and all that within the Pega systems application. So thank you very much to the three of you. It was very inspiring. Wish you all the best. And also, I wish we will have like more webinars like this one, this time perhaps in person, or with I would say longer time, because there's a lot of things to cover. So thank you very much. I don't know if there's any other reaction among the channel, but I think that is all. Thank you to you. Thank you for the presentation, your participation, sorry. And I hope we will meet very, very, very soon again. Thank you very much, Peter, Sheena, Latasha.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. So,
What is Pega?
are going to see now is the Pega and 10K coders video ads. That will be all for today. Thank you very much. Thank you for the participants. Thank you to all of you for participating in this webinar. There will be much more to come, perhaps this year or in 2025. Stay tuned. All of this will be posted on LinkedIn and on our different social media. So don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget also to follow and to basically subscribe to the pages, especially on LinkedIn, of Astrostellar, of Pegasystems, and of 10K Coders. Thank you very much. It was a very great moment spent with you all, and I'll see you some next time. Thank you very much.
What is Pega? No, it's not that. Or this. Impressive teamwork, though. Still no. And definitely not whatever this is. Pega's a powerful low-code platform for AI-powered decisioning and workflow automation. So you spend less time doing this. And this. And more time getting work done, like the folks at the most demanding organizations who use Pega every day. But not exactly these folks, because this is stock footage. With Pega, you hyper-personalize each and every piece of customer engagement. You streamline customer service experiences, so customers and agents are both happy. To put it plainly, we help you get more done by doing less. That way, your operations team is worthy of a dramatic slow-mo. You can acquire and onboard new customers and partners faster, and you can quickly respond to problems and exceptions before they happen. Not this problem, this one. The best part? You can do it all on a collaborative low-code platform, meaning you don't have to be these guys to adapt to change at light speed. Are you ready to connect people, process, and tech across your enterprise and feel as confident as the folks still walking in slow-mo? Well, it's never been simpler. Get ready to crush your business complexity. No, not like that. Like this.
Bonjour, je suis Douglas Miandou, fondateur de l'association à but non lucratif d'Imicoder. Décrocher le passeport numérique vous apporte de nombreux avantages que je vais illustrer en m'appuyant sur l'exemple de la jeune Amdiatou Adjama, basée au Togo, qui a décroché son passeport numérique et globalement a été accompagnée de bout en bout par Imicoder. Le premier avantage d'avoir son passeport numérique, c'est la visibilité internationale. Vous apparaissez sur une carte accessible par tous les recruteurs potentiels du monde entier. Le deuxième avantage à décrocher le passeport numérique, c'est le réseau. En décrochant le passeport numérique, vous avez accès à un réseau non seulement de professionnels bienveillants qui donnent du sens à leur carrière en devenant des repères pour la jeunesse, mais également parmi ces repères, vous avez des experts que nous allons vous dédier pour votre mentoring. Dans ce réseau, il y a aussi d'autres personnes qui ont aussi décroché le passeport numérique. C'est le deuxième avantage. Le troisième avantage de bénéficier du passeport numérique, c'est que vous bénéficiez d'une formation professionnelle dans le métier que vous avez choisi. Ici, Amdiatou a choisi le métier de développeuse no-code. Donc, elle a bénéficié d'une formation professionnelle dans le no-code. Et donc, cette formation intervient à la deuxième étape de notre accompagnement. Quatrième plutôt, valeur ajoutée et avantage du passeport numérique, c'est le branding. Amdiatou a été accompagnée sur sa présence dans les réseaux sociaux et en particulier sa présence sur LinkedIn. Elle a été formée par la création de posts attractifs sur son compte LinkedIn. Autre avantage de l'accompagnement d'Imicodeur, c'est l'insertion. Nous vous accompagnons après votre formation pour que vous réussissiez une insertion soit par le salariat, soit par l'entrepreneuriat. Amdiatou, par exemple, elle a choisi une insertion par l'entrepreneuriat. Elle est aujourd'hui développeuse no-code freelance et propose des sites internet vitrines à partir de 150 €. Voilà les avantages. À très bientôt.